Okay, sorry about that. So here is the transformations that came from all the values that were in the problems. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to transition over to actually graphing. And so what you'll see me do is I'll create this basic T-chart with these values 0, 1, 4, 9, 0, 1, 2, 3, because that's how you graph a square root. And then based on the graph, we will shift it based on the horizontal shift and the vertical shift, and then we'll graph these values from that point. So we will start with shifts, and then we will graph the parent points from what's called the new vertex. So after we move, based on the horizontal and vertical shift, we'll start graphing these ordered pairs from that new point. Okay? Tomorrow we'll look at the cube root. All right. So here is this is our first graph that we're going to do. 0, 1, 4, 9, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, based on this graph, which has this -3 in it, this is going to move to the right 3 units. And that means 3 units from the origin. So we'll go to the origin, and we'll move 3 units over to the right. 1, 2, 3. And that's our new vertex. Which means that everything we do now comes from this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to treat this point, this green point, as the origin. And we're going to graph 4 points based off of this point right here, which is going to give us the square root function. Now, this 0, 0 is telling us to go nowhere from this point. So when we graphed right 3 units, we actually did this ordered pair. So that point is actually graphed already. Now, the second point that we're going to graph is right 1, up 1 from this point. So we'll go right 1, up 1 to right there. And then we go right 4, up 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And you'll start to see the square root parent function starting to take shape. Now this 9, 3 is going to fall off the graph a little bit. So we just have to, do the best that we can. So we'll go right 9 and up 3. So we always come back to this new vertex point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-ish, 9-ish. And we'll go up about 3. 1, 2, 3. We'll fill that in. Boom. There is the square root function. Now, we've got to finish this graph off with a domain and a range. Now, this new vertex is at the ordered pair 3, 0. And these are going to be the 2 values that are in the domain and the range. So, domain is left to right. How far left? This is 3. And it goes on to infinity. Bracket on the number. The lowest y value here is 0. It goes up to infinity. Parentheses and a bracket. And that finishes off our first square root graph. So, as I was saying earlier, it really helps, let me get this right, to understand what this h and this k does. They are the vertical shift, which is the transformation of the new graph. So this number 3 is what caused the whole graph to move over 3 units to the right. And every single point from its parent function moved over to the right 3 points. All right, graph number 2. So what do we have in this graph? We've got a negative, and we've got this 1. And the 1, if you notice, is outside the parentheses, or outside the radical. So the negative 1 is a reflection, meaning the graph now will come down rather than go up like the normal parent function. And the 1 means we're going to go up 1 unit. So I'll put my trusty T-chart in here. If you remember, these numbers are square rooted. Square root of 0 is 0, square root of 1 is 1, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3. So I'm not just making these numbers up. This is a square root function, so we're going to take the square root of the x value. All right, always starting at the origin, we have an up 1. So we're going to go from the origin, we're going to go up 1 unit. So that is our new vertex. Everything comes from that point right there. Now, how do we deal with a reflection? Well, what that reflection does is it reflects these y values. So we're going to negate each one of those values. So the 0, which doesn't have a sign, stays 0. 1 becomes negative. 2 becomes negative. 3 becomes negative. This is the reflection. Okay? That's what happens when we reflect. The y values get negated. So now instead of going right 1, up 1, we're going to go down 1, which is what creates the graph to come down. That's the reflection over the x-axis. So 0, 0, that point is the point that's already graphed. That's done. So here we will go right 1, and we're going to go down 1 unit. So right 1, down 1. Right 4, down 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, down 2. So hopefully you can start to see the square root function take shape. Right 9, down 3. So back to the new vertex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3. And so we connect the dots, and you got your square root function. Finishing up with the domain and the range, this ordered pair is 0, 1. These are the values that are going to end up in the domain and the range. 0 will be part of the domain, 1 will be part of the range. Now, keep in mind, domain is left to right. So the farthest left value, which is an x value, is 0. And how far to the right does it go? Not talking about how far down it goes. How far to the right does it go? It goes forever. So that's going to be your infinity. Now, as we transition over to range, remember that it's bottom to top. So what's the bottom of this graph? The lowest point on this graph is this arrow. So where is that arrow going? When we're talking about it's going down. Sorry, my hand's in the way there. Going down. Well, that would be negative infinity. And how far up does the graph go? Well, the highest point of this graph is right here, and that would be 1. So the number gets a bracket, and the infinity gets the parentheses. So that's the second problem that we've done. Transformations. Okay, you have to understand what all these little negatives and positives and numbers are doing to the function. Use your basic chart. Find your new vertex. Determine what's going on. The reflection is what negates the y values, which tells us to go down instead of going up. All right, let's do one more. It's got a whole bunch of stuff to it. All right, basic chart. Let's look and see what we got going on up here. Got a 3, got a positive 1, got a negative 3. Those three things, there's three things happening to this problem. So this right here is a stretch, and that becomes a multiplier. The positive 1 is going to tell us that it's going to go to the left 1 unit, and the negative 3 is going to go down 3 units. So these are the values right here that make up the new vertex. So left 1 down 3. So left 1 down 3, left 1 down 3, 1, 2, 3, puts us down in the third quadrant. So we have our new vertex sitting down there in the third quadrant. Now I told you that this 3, which is a stretch, is going to become a multiplier. Well, in the previous problem, we had a negative right there, and so all of these became negative. In other words, we multiplied these values by a negative 1, because that's what's in front, a negative 1. Well, here we have a 3 in the front. So we're going to multiply all of these values by 3. So instead of having 0, 1, 2, and 3, we have 0, 3, 6, and 9. And so these 0, 1, 2, and 3 have changed into 0, 3, 6, and 9. Tell you what, we're going to get rid of those completely so you can't see them anymore. And now, from our new vertex, we will plot the first point is 0, 0, which is always already graphed. That's the new vertex. So that one's done. That's done. But then here, we're going to go right 1, up 3. So right 1, up 3. 1, 2, 3. And so hopefully you can see that this graph is already taller. It's stretched taller than our previous two examples. So now we're going to go right 4, up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that was 6. And then we go 9, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that's about 9. And connect the dots. Put an arrow on the end. By the way, there is no arrow that goes on this new vertex. The square root function only has one arrow, and that's on the far end after you do the 9, 9. All right, finish up with the domain and the range. This ordered pair is negative 1, negative 3. So how far left does it go? That's the negative 1. How far down does it go? The lowest point is negative 3. And it goes all the way up to infinity. Okay? So that is square root graphing. So if you need to, watch the two videos multiple times to try to catch up with it. I know the hard copy notes will be a little bit confusing because of all the scratching out that we did and changing and writing over different things. So please make sure you kind of have a grasp of what you're doing. So if you need to watch the video a couple times, that's okay. There is a worksheet that is posted to the blog. You're going to do problems 1 through 4, 9 through 17, 9 through 13, 17 and 20. The problems that are in the middle here are the cube root graphs. Remember, we're going to do cube root graphs. Let's make that cube root graphs on Thursday. Okay? All right. Reach out when you need me. I will talk to you guys soon. Hope you have a great day.